Hey, I'm Tommy Chong. Welcome to High on Homegrown.
Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from percysgrowroom.com. In this week's Grow Guides, we're talking about how to get tasty cannabis. Lots of different methods to improve the flavor of your weed. So that's with proper drying, proper curing, growing it properly, of course, different foods you can use to increase the flavor throughout the grow, loads of things like that. Also want to mention, because it's the last Friday of the month, we have the Patreon meeting tonight where we all get in the Zoom and we just chat some shit together for a few hours. So if you are a Patreon and you would like to be in that meeting tonight, make sure that you go over to percysgrowroom.com and it's in the Patreon section. You'll find the link for that. And if you're not a Patreon, then you can become a patron for as little as $4.20 a month. It's real cheap and it's a great way to support the podcast and the site. But of course, no pressure. Only do that if you can. And quickly, just to mention before we start the episode as well, we also have the prize draw on Sunday's show. So make sure you head over to YouTube, youtube.com/high-on-homegrown, and join us for the live show on Sunday if you want to be involved in the prize draw. It'll be great to see you over there for the live show. But anyway, let's move on to the episode and I'll speak to you at the end of this. See you in a bit. Oh, damn. I smoked that pipe and with the hash in it there, and the monkey pipe.
That's a hit.
Oof, you know, I don't smoke every day anymore like I used to. So it's like, pow! Just kicked me on the side of the head like that. Tastes delicious. Some good shit. Nice. Very nice. And of course, I'm sure many of our listeners already know that the lemon tree right now is one of my favorite cannabis flavors.
Really? Tell us all about it, Mackie. Lemon tree? What's it all about?
Lemon tree.
That sounds
good. Like a new one.
Yeah, it's a new one. You wouldn't have heard of this before. Brand new. So anyway, cannabis flavor. That's what we're going to be talking about this week. Last week we covered yield, and in I think everybody's opinion here on the panel, yield is good, and we all like a good yield, but we prefer good, tasty weed. It's fucking it's majorly important, man. Getting the shit that you like to smoke. So let's quickly just run through. I know this is a difficult question for most cannabis users to answer, but what is your favorite flavor weed? Monkey, you want to go first? What's your favorite?
Geez, man.
Difficult question, isn't it?
It is, you know. I think though, if I have to choose a flavor, or I'm going to have to go with a profile of flavor, I'd rather choose sweet and fruity profiles. So, but I mean, specifically a specific strain, I really can't give you, but I do tend to lean more to the fruity sweet profiles.
Yeah,
but not exclusively. There are exceptions. You know what I mean?
It's definitely really fruity sweet. That's my shit, man. I love a fruity sweet weed.
Hence the lemon tree constantly talking about
and the blue cheese and
yeah,
I just like a good fruity flavor, man. Something sweet. What about you, Marge? What's your favorite?
That being said, there's nothing wrong with a good fuel every now and then.
Of course, man.
Yeah, a good gassy strain,
a nice diesely flavor, that aftertaste.
Yeah, I like that a lot actually, and I like skunky weed too. Actually, too. Yeah,
the old school shit.
Yeah,
that 90s skunk flavor.
That musky, heavy, yes.
No, it's easier for us to say, what cannabis flavors don't you like? You know,
that's actually a good point. There's only been a few that I've actually found that were off-putting.
Yeah. What's TG saying? I mean, because TG's got all this variety all the time. What's your favorite, TG?
Hard to say, man. But I do find myself over the years, I gravitate to gas, not so much gas, but like if you had real chem dog. What I'm holding right here is a pretty good expression. Fuel dog is Seedsman's apparently updated chem dog, which I don't believe is possible, but this smells like burnt rubber. It smells like burning plastic. It's got a very chem. When I open this and put it in Cheryl's face, she's like, just like, that's chemicals. It's very, it's hard to describe, but burnt, like when you bust this up, burnt rubber, burnt tires is like
elastic band.
And I love that shit so fucking much. I'm a big fan of the incensey kind of like haze-esque type of, or some hazes, like the incense haze in kind of the Northeast in the States, kind of that area. There's a lot of that incensey, patchouli, sandalwood type shit. That too. Yeah, I don't know. Those two, I suppose. I'm a kind of a. I really do like piss too. You know, a heavy terpinolene kind of fucking cleaner, pissy fucking. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the piss.
Oh yeah, you love the cat piss.
I have some God's unicorn piss that I need to run for real soon, actually. So yeah, I don't know. I like, you know, the stuff that's not generally popular. Like in Canada here, the fruit, like you guys said, is very dominant. A lot of the strains. Gas you can find too, but fruit is like, you know, kind of what everybody likes. And I like it too, don't get me wrong, you know, the grapey kind of purpley flavors. I have a Forbidden Dream that I'm running right now that's like grandmother's tangy, and this thing is shitting out just hyper tangy pungency. It's very citric, very grapefruity, very like fresh and floral. It's beautiful, but preferably, yeah, burnt tires. That's my shit.
Nice. Well, you say, Bubble, what's your favorite kind of flavor?
I'd have to say one, a filthy skunk. Love a filthy skunk. Then it's citrus and pine, really. If I'm honest, citrus and pine.
That pine.
You're a big
goodness.
Jack Herrera fan, then, man.
Yeah, don't mind it. Yeah. I got some blackjack I'm going to run next run. That is just, it looks like it's going to be filth. So I'll be happy with that. I don't know. I really don't like stuff that tastes like pot puree.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know what pot puree is.
Brax to the future just said that he can't stand it incensey weed, and I'm the same kind of you know, too flowery, too floral. It just smells like somebody sprayed their deodorant a bit too close to the grow tent.
Yeah. See, that's what I don't like. Or like a perfumey weed, like, you know, when it smells like it's been left in a woman's purse and it's somehow the perfume's exploded all over the inside of her bag. And,
that's so specific.
Can't. I know. It's only because I had a bag of that not too long ago. I was like, this is shit. Got me high, but it was shit.
I don't mind those if they're the right ones, but I know what you're talking about. Sometimes it almost becomes sickly sweet on your throat, where it's bitter.
Just, it's just that thick, incensey, floral, like, But no, skunks, citrus, and pine definitely for me. You know, I don't mind something that's got a little bit of that pepper to it either, like a bit of a spice almost, just not that real fragranty, like it's like I'm smoking lavender oil or something. Like no thanks. But yeah, that's my.
So many different flavors when it comes to cannabis, man. So many. Everyone's
different, I think, too. Everyone's going to prefer different stuff.
So I guess the big question is, how do we get the most of those flavors, huh?
And there's loads of different ways, isn't there? It's not just one individual thing.
I think everybody here is going to have a different method if I had to guess.
What was always good when I was growing in the cocoa days, using bat shit. This was before the old, you know, in the before times, let's just say. It was in the before times where you could get bat shit very easily. But, you know, I haven't done that for a while. But that was apparently good for flavor. The weed tasted good, but I don't know if it was specifically down to using bat shit. But that's always been rumored to be a good one. Guano, as they call it, bat guano.
Because you're talking in cocoa. So were you running like salts right up, and then towards the end you're just smashing it with guano?
Just top dressing a little bit of bat guano at the end.
I've done that with a Fox Farms. What is it? Bloom Big, I believe, uses a lot of guano in it.
Right.
I've used that in cocoa before, but I've never gone straight guano like you're talking about, though.
Right.
No, well, I think because you're trying a little bit of that, like with different bacteria and stuff like that in cocoa too, aren't you, Mikey? At the moment.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I was when this topic came up for the show, I was asking the wife because I started a few grows ago listening to some advice from Chris Trump, and I just incorporate some of these microbes and KNF techniques into cocoa growing. Something that most people would probably not even think about, because we always been told that just don't worry about it. The salts are going to kill all the microbes. Chris's take on it was, it's worth a shot, do it. You know, his take was, he's not even going to argue anymore. He says, just all I'm going to tell you is it works. And so I have tried it, and I've been asking the missus, you know, what does she think about it? She says, well, the stuff you've been producing the last few times tastes a lot better and is a lot stronger now. So yes, I think adding microbes and getting some organics back into the cocoa is a big part of my success to get better flavors.
That's
and better potency.
For the last year or so, I've noticed that there's been a big rise in people talking about the bacteria is really good for flavor, and specific bacteria will make the trichomes better as well.
Well, in the techniques that I'm using, you know, I'm incorporating back into cocoa lactobacillus as well as JMS and compost tea. So we're getting all different types of microbes are being thrown back into the soil. And the only thing that they have for food in that soil is what I'm giving them, and it is the salts. And evidently they can react effectively with the cocoa and the salts and everything like that, and still be a huge benefit to the plants. All I can say is, within a day after feeding the microbes to the plant, you can see a physical reaction. The plants start praying harder and just look happier.
Yeah.
What are you saying, TG? Because obviously you got a lot of microbes in your medium using living soil. What do you think about the whole bacteria increasing flavor?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. Like I'd like to see quantitative data. You know, test one that's old school versus one of these new school things, and let's see if the terps actually do increase, and the esters and alcohols and everything else. But in general, I think just keep, again, it's just like last episode, how do you get bigger, bud? Keep your plant healthy. Yeah, grow good genetics too. You know, if you smoke some weed, you know, when one of your friends grows some weed and you smoke it and it's really fucking tasty and you love it, try and get a cut from them, because it's something, you know, that is extremely, you know, pungent in the ways that we just talked about our favorite strains a minute ago. But not every genetic is equal. You know, I've grown some alleged blue cheese from a breeder here in Canada that was literally terpless. You know, it had nothing. And it wasn't my growing style, because I was growing skunk, one, Northern Lights, Jack Herrera in the same exact tent, under the same exact conditions, in the same pots, in the same soil. So it was the plant, right? And I expected a blue cheese just to kill everything else in that tent, and, you know, didn't. So find good genetics is really important, as well as keep your plant healthy, so then those genetics can be expressed in their fullest. So but in terms of additives and stuff, I don't really do much. I just try and keep the plant as comfortable as I can before I murder it, basically, right? But
that's it again. It's a big important factor, man. It's making sure the plant stays healthy throughout its life cycle. It's a major factor, you know. And again, good genetics. If you get good genetics, and you grow it until it's supposed to be cut down, because that's another important factor, is harvesting at the right time. Don't do it too early, don't do it too late. Picking the right time is crucial too. And, you know, and keep the plant happy from start to finish, and it will produce high quality cannabis, man. They're the most important factors.
I don't know.
I'd
I
like
think
to look into it more. I just don't really have too much time, so that's kind of where I stand. But probably there is ways to tweak it so you can, you know.
Yeah. What are you saying, Bubble?
Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say on the thing with the microbes aren't being killed by the salts. I mean, realistically, if you're running a lower EC and your cocoa's not locked out and full of salts, there's no reason why flushing some microbes through is going to kill it, because it shouldn't be like, if it's going to kill microbes and stuff like that, it's going to be affecting the plants anyway. If you know what I mean. Yeah,
apparently the using salts kills some of the bacteria, but nowhere near all of it. It's still a good amount of bacteria in there, just not as much as there would be in living soil with rotten organic matter, because that's what the microbes eat, isn't it?
Yeah, and what they're finding out now is that some of those microbes are actually being uptaken into the plant and actually living, cohabitating inside of the plant, creating
and even in the trichomes too, right?
Yes, changing flavors, terpenes, all kind of different effects on the plant. So getting these microbes into the cocoa, the soil, is a good thing. Like I said, this is something that I thought about a long time, and Chris Trump finally gave me the guts to jump up there and said, let's try this thing. And I have to say, man, I see positive things here. I'm still tweaking it, but yeah, Bubble, I mean, I keep the EC low in all of my cocoa runs. I don't think I haven't gone above 1.2 in a real long time.
Yeah,
So,
and that's, you know, that's fairly low in
it
terms
is.
of,
And I mean, and that's only like for a week or two. So it's lower than that most of the time.
and this is
And-
what is this on? Is this on all, like, you're running just on autos, or are you running that on photos
everything
and
pretty
stuff
much.
as well?
Matter of fact, on the last autos I ran, I think I needed to cut the EC even further down because they were getting a little larfy toward the end, indicating I got a little bit too much there. But the microbes seems that I can run a lower EC with the microbes, and the plants get just as much as benefit as if I was running a higher EC. The microbes are helping the plants feed easier.
Yeah. No, it's a good. I mean, look, you know, I've used teas and stuff like that at the end, and molasses teas and things like that, and I do notice a slight difference. But it also, I think it comes down to, I normally feed pretty high, and I have some additives that I think add to the flavor and stuff like that as well. So for me, then adding something on top could make it go the other way, sort of thing. So I think I've got to be careful with how much I'm adding on that side of it, if you know what I mean.
What are the additives that you're using to get your flavors up?
So I'm just using resin. So it's by Green Planet, and it's essentially amino acids and things like that, and some sugars and carb, but it's all fermented. So it comes from, it's not like a chemical mix, if you know what I mean. It's not synthetic mix, I should probably say. It's all derived from the fermentation of things, rather of organic matter, rather than going fully synthetic this and that and whatever else, refined, I should say, probably.
I'm hearing some wild animal attacking something in the background.
I'm sorry, yeah, give me a sec. That's my dog going off for absolutely no reason. Give me a sec.
Oh,
I thought it was the morning cockatoos.
it sounded like a mountain lion or something.
You got to remember, we're talking
Run,
Australia.
Bubble.
Everything's a little more violent in Australia.
Shit. Yeah, well, bacteria seems to be an important one, man, and it's a very complex topic. And of course, if you want to know more about bacteria in soil, then check out Jeff Longfellow's book, Teaming with Bacteria. That'll tell you loads of shit. But so far you want to get the right strain, because a weed that tastes good and what I think tastes good might not be the same as what TG would think would taste good. For example, find the strain you like and grow that, because if you like it, you like it, you know. And then grow it happily from the start, from germination all the way up to the end. If you can keep it happy for its whole life, it will produce the terpenes it's supposed to produce, and that will give you the beautiful flavor.
Yeah, and that does take a little bit of time to get used to giving it exactly what it wants. I know, especially if you're using salts. Early on, I was a chronic overfeeder, and you could actually taste the overfeed in the final product if you do it wrong. You know, you get too much chlorophyll and too much this crazy stuff in it, though. So if you're using salts, growing it right with the right amount of food is key.
And also, just in case anybody doesn't know, the terpenes are what give your plant the smell and the flavor. There's flavonoids as well, but terpenes is what's discussed mostly when it comes to
alcohols and
diols.
There's lots of shit, actually. It's quite a amalgamation.
It's a very complex thing, is the way the different smells are made on the cannabis plant.
Flavonoids and everything else coming in.
Mostly it's down to terpenes, and we do have an episode on terpenes. So if you want to know about that, then go check out them episodes as well. That'll tell you some about the terpenes that are on the plant. But, and then, so we had the bacteria in the medium as well. That's important. But also, which we briefly mentioned, chopping the plant at the right time is important. You know, if you chop it too soon, it's not gonna give off the same smell and flavor it would have done if it was left until it got to maturity. So we should quickly cover that. You know, when is the good time to harvest the plant? Marge, you want to talk about that?
A good time to harvest the plant?
Yeah. When would you harvest yours? Like when you harvest a plant, hoping for the best flavor, what time would you harvest it?
Well, I'm trying to decide that right now because I have a purple god bud growing. It's pretty close to being ready, I think. I mean, usually you can tell by the families are starting to turn a little bit. If you're looking at the trichomes, I mean, this is sort of controversial. Some people say, you know, wait till most of them are cloudy. Ask the plant. That's Swami's thing, which is a pretty nuanced and is probably better suited to a more experienced grower, I guess. If you're just starting out, asking the plant's probably not going to give you the answers you're looking for, but you know, sometimes you just know by looking at it and knowing how
smelling
long it's
it.
been flowering. Yeah, that too. I mean,
It just changes, doesn't it?
So I'm
Yeah.
just going to speak to that. If you know somebody who has a lot of experience with said plant and or maybe bred it themselves, you could ask them. I know we talk
That's
about,
true.
you know, breeder information being kind of bullshit, and in generic, you know, like a big seed bank that you might find in a big seed, you know, on a European thing where, you know, like, I don't want to name any names, but well, you know, anyone, think of anybody, those breeders generally, you know, aren't maybe as into their own strains as somebody who's much more craft, essentially. So Marge does know the person, that's me. So you can ask me.
I was gonna say I should ask you.
Yeah, that's another option if you have it, but that's not super common. So
Well, in going into that a little bit though, with even if you do know that the breeder, how you grow that strain may be a little bit different. Like if you grow it in your super soil versus me and my cocoa, could very well finish at 2 different times.
I guess I could tell you what I look for in terms of characteristics, and then you can look for those same things that give
Be a good way to do it, yeah.
Your grow. So, but that's
Smell is a good one though, as far as ripeness. So when weed starts getting closer to that crop day, the smell really starts getting
and it's
really,
a
really
thicker
vivid.
smell. It's like pungent.
Yeah.
You can't just smell it in the air. It is the fucking air. It smells so strong, man, and that's when you can tell.
So maybe that's why I should know it's probably just about ready, because my daughter came by today and she just came in the front door and she's like, your house always smells like weed. And like my weed plant, I'm just growing a micro in my closet in the office upstairs, and she's in the front, and I'm like, oh shit, maybe it's time to take it down.
A filter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, so good. And then of course there's the checking the trichomes, which it will differ from strain to strain, but on average growers would usually look for around 10% amber trichomes and 90% milky trichomes. And you just let that, amber means that the THC is starting to degrade and that's turning into CBN. So you usually want to catch it before it gets too far into that. But you wait for that 10% amber because that makes sure that the majority of the clear trichomes have gone. So it's more like 90% milky and 10% amber, rather than 5% amber, 5% clear, 10% milky. And it will differ. You know, different trichomes mature at different stages. So,
and after you start growing a little bit, you'll start learning whether you like it a little bit further along or maybe chop it a little earlier. I know my wife likes it when I chop it with no amber on it. She likes that more racy eye.
Yeah.
But different people are different ways. Their body reacts differently to the cannabinoids. And so after you grow a few times, you'll know what you want.
Rusted Nails in the chat there said it wants to look like powdery sugar from a distance instead of shiny. That's a good way I like to look for as well, is when it looks frosty, because that means the majority of the trichomes are going milky, and that's why it's looking frosty rather than just shiny. It's a good way to tell. But we have an episode on harvesting, so go and check that one out if you haven't listened to that. But pretty much you just want to use a magnifying glass with about 100 times zoom on it, get real close, and you'll be able to see what kind of condition the trichomes are in.
I see mine usually what I go with, they go from that shiny, then they go to that frosty, kind of snowy looking, and then they kind of get to what I call the dusty stage. And that's when I start getting the loop out. The dusty is when it kind of has a slight bit of beigeish kind of color in it. Going like, okay, I got color coming in these buds now. Time to start looking.
You saying, Bubble?
I was gonna say, don't be afraid to take a couple off the very top. If you haven't got a nice even canopy, you're running something, just take a couple off the top, let the others come up within a few days. Like you can always semi-harvest to make sure everything's where it's at as well, or where you want it to be. I do on some of the big ones because I just can't physically get through some of those big ones in a day, like because I just don't have the time.
Yeah,
I'm only going to be able to do it a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, and it stinks the fucking house out most of the time. So you just
right,
just have to be careful.
So these are all the important factors, man, and of course it will take practice and experience before you get used to. For the first couple of crops, you're looking at the trichomes, you're You're judging it by the way the plant looks when it goes into senescence, things like that, when it starts to die naturally. But over time, you don't need to do that anymore. You know, you will know what it smells like, what it looks like, you know, and you'll know when a plant's ready to come down. You wouldn't even need to check the trichomes. It just takes practice. And when it's at that proper mature stage and it's stinking the way that it does, that's when you want to chop it down to get the best flavor.
And first thing in the morning is usually a pretty good time to do it before those terpenes get active and start evaporating for the day and all that kind of stuff.
It's supposed to be midnight, right? I think that's something Frenchy did as well. He would harvest the plant in the middle of the night, so it was dark. Middle of the night on the last sun of November, or so, the last full moon of November, was just something like that.
If I can remember to do it, I usually unplug the lights on the day that the day before I'm going to chop it, and that way they won't come on in the morning, and I'll just pull it out and done.
And then when it's chopped down, you've got to dry it properly. This is another majorly important thing when it comes to getting the good taste out of your weed, is drying it properly. If you dry it too fast, then it's not going to taste as good as it could have. It's going to have starches and sugars trapped in it. So it'll be a harsher smoke than you would have wanted. So you have to make sure that it gets dried properly. And it takes like 7 to 10 days is a good amount of time to try and dry your cannabis for.
I shoot for 2 weeks if I can get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's pretty hard, you know, in the heat of the summer or the dead of the winter when it's bone dry in the house and that kind of stuff, to get that kind of dry.
But again, that's getting the drying right is another complex topic, which we have another episode for as well. Because if we're going to speak about all these different aspects, then this episode of Grow Guides would be like 3 hours long. But you can go back and check out, how to dry your weed properly. And
it's interesting because you want to get the temperature low enough, and you need to get the humidity at the right range, not too high, not too low, and get that weed to the temperature slowly dry.
Temperature being low is important as well, because some terpenes will evaporate at certain temperatures. Like the pineapple terpene apparently starts to evaporate when you go over 15 degrees Celsius. So if you're growing a pineapple-y flavored weed and you want to try and retain that pineapple terpene, then you've got to try and keep it underneath 15 degrees when it's drying, so these terpenes don't evaporate off the plant, which can be difficult to do. And different terpenes, you can go check out the guide at Dutch Pasture as well. They've got a really good guide which helps you with the terpene evaporation. But I think that's for when you're more vaping it, but still, they evaporate over time. Anytime you're smelling terpenes, that's them evaporating. So when it's drying, the least you can smell it, the better, because that's the terpenes being retained on the plant rather than evaporating away. So make sure you dry it properly.
And what's the last stage for this flavor? After we're talking about drying, what's going to bring the flavor out the most?
Curing is number one, isn't it?
That's it, man. To actually get the real flavor out the weed, proper cure.
So what is curing? Marge, do you want to talk about what curing is, just so everybody knows what we're talking about here?
After you've dried it, you jar it up and then you sort of burp the jars. I guess the idea is a couple times a day, just to take out a little bit more of that moisture content. And some people swear by curing their weed for way longer than I can ever allow it to go. I think
longer than it lasts.
Right. I think it was Swami that said he often cures for like 6 months maybe or longer, and that's his preference, to cure for 6 months before he even touches it.
Me too.
I guess he has lots of weeds, so it's probably not so
same
hard
for the greenhouse in Amsterdam, man. Them guys, Arjan and Franco, R.I.P. Them guys would dry their weed for 6 months before anybody touched it.
Well, I mean, what I usually do is I'll take, like, if I get 5 jars, I'll use one early on, but those others are held back until at least 4 months of cure. It's so much better like that.
Anywhere 3 to 6 months is about my preference.
I like that 4 to 9 is where I love it.
I do the opposite. See, I'll put 1 jar aside and leave that sitting for 12 months and then come back and explore that 12 months later. So that's always fun.
It did take a few grows to get this down, because I had to have enough inventory to hold myself off for 6 months. So I had to build my inventory up enough to where I'm smoking good cured weed while the other stuff is still curing.
Now, Billy Bond says they don't cure in plastic, and this is one I disagree with, because I
depends on the
cure in
plastic.
plastic, man. I cure in plastic and I cure in glass jars, but I find the plastic does a better job because you can be guaranteed that it's airtight when that plastic lid is on. And that's the important thing about your container. It has to be airtight because that's how the chemistry does all of its work.
So that mason jar is not gonna be anything but airtight.
If you get a good
Yeah.
quality one, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
Plastic
see, I do
works
both.
for well for me, man.
I
Well,
use
then you
like
have growth bags
buckets.
and everything else too. So, I mean, there's lots of different options as far as how to cure it and what you can cure it with. Whatever works for you, I guess.
But again, we have an episode on curing. So
Mhm.
if that's something you want to look up as well, go and check out that episode. It was only like 10 weeks ago, something about 10 episodes ago. Maybe, I don't know. We've done a lot. So just scroll through the episodes on wherever you get your podcast from and you'll find it there. It'll say specifically curing, drying, flowering stage. Take a look at that episode as well. Lots of different options for you there for us to go into more finer detail about these kind of things. But, I mean, curing is the major one, isn't it? And weed like just 2 weeks. So you say you dried your weed, and sometimes you'll dry it and you'll be like, it doesn't smell very much, man. This is a bit shit. And that can happen sometimes. But if a couple of weeks curing and that smell really comes out, man, and it will start to smell a lot better. Just give it time. The cure is majorly important. And what also matters is making sure you got all the leaf off as well, because the leaf will kick off more of a chlorophyll kind of smell. So if you get all your leaf off when it's dried and just store buds, because I've noticed that before, when you've been trimming for a while, and you're a little bit less meticulous with the buds after 5 hours of fucking trimming. So, so they get leaf left on sometimes.
2.5, I'm done, man.
And that's one we should quickly go into as well, which is also in the drying episode where we talk about wet trim or dry trimming. Is where you leave the leaf on and just let the plant dry, which takes a little bit longer. Or, if you trim it to the fine buds and dry the buds as they are, then, you just got to figure out what's right for you. The slower dry period is important. So if it's too warm, doing a dry trim and just leaving all of the leaf on, hang the plant upside down or each branch upside down. Doing that can extend the drying time, which is what you want. You want it to take like 10 to 14 days is a good average. But it's 7 to 10, 10 to 14 if you can, but that will just depend on temperature. You don't want it to go moldy,
Now, there's one thing that we hear frequently over at Percy's. We hear people come in and say, "What's wrong? My weed tastes like hay." What happened?
They dry too quick.
That's it.
Pretty simple, man. No, this is why we say 7 to 10 days a minimum. If it's dry after 3 or 4 days, then you've just taken all of them months of work that you've put into your crop and just fucked it all away. Because that last week there, where you're drying it, that's the most important stage if you want to get the good flavor out of your buds.
It's easy to do that though, because as a new grower, you're so anxious to get into it.
For sure, man.
That you just want it dry.
That's it. We don't judge anybody. If that's happened, it's happened to me. I've done it before. This is why we know these things, because we fucked up and done it ourselves and be like, shit, can't fucking dry it in 4 days next time.
No, we didn't learn. We weren't experts when we first started doing this stuff. Man. We're still not experts. We learn every day.
We just hope you guys learn from our mistakes so you don't have to.
And maybe they can teach us a few things.
Indeed. What are you saying, Bubble?
No, I was just going to say the same thing. I wet trim. So sometimes there's just nothing you can do. If you fight an environment, it just gets to the point where 4 or 5 days, something dries and you're like, well, that was shit. But then other times you can set it and run it longer. So it all depends where you are too, and choosing your time. Like not so much choosing your time, but choosing it as a run, like, time your run so that you're going to be in a bit cooler weather that's more manageable sort of thing. But then that goes into that whole curing thing that we have a full episode on.
Yeah.
So,
well, and if you do dry too quickly, most of the time it's not completely lost. You can usually get some moisture back into your buds in the jar by doing things like adding some fresh leaf back in there and getting your humidity back up to around 60. And sometimes, I would say a majority of the time, you can actually get some flavor back in those buds that dried too quick just by letting them get back some moisture and taking some time to let the chemistry do its thing.
As long as they're not like crumbling crisp when you put them, even that's hard to bring back.
It's worth a shot though. And I have,
Yeah.
I'll try anything to go ahead and salvage bud if it's all I got.
Yeah. Oh, if it's all you got, yeah, you'd do anything.
Yeah, but,
Stand
I
on
mean,
1 foot at the back fence. And,
really, I'll
like
smoke
3
it, I
in the
don't
morning,
care.
catching the dew.
Anything you got to do.
I mean, that's about everything. I mean, it's such a complex topic. The basic things are right there for you now. You know, just making sure that you cut it down. Start at the beginning, pick your good genetics, grow the plant happily, make sure it grows happily through its whole life cycle, chop it down at the right time. Don't dry it too quickly. Cure it for at least 2 weeks before you smoke any. But, you know, you can smoke some. Don't be too strict. You know, just most of it you should cure for 2 weeks. You can still get a little bit. The smoke some. Don't worry, it's dry. Once it's dry, smash it, enjoy it, but do try and cure some at the same time as well, because the cure is major. That will really bring out the flavor over time.
Yeah.
If you gotta dry it fast to get that sample out, don't do it all fast. Do a small piece and you give the bulk of your harvest a chance to cure if you can. But like we said, we'll say it over and over and over again. We'll say it again. It's your weed. Do whatever you want with it.
For sure, man.
See, I look at it as realistically, it's 2 parts of the grow, the cure. As long as I'd say it's almost as important as the grow itself is the cure to get what you're after. If you're going for flavor, like really big flavors, the cure matters a lot.
But for new growers, it's the yield. It's not so much the flavor. They're after the yield. But once you get 2 or 3 grows behind you, and you realize that, okay, that I can do more here, you probably will start chasing flavor pretty quickly.
Reefer Belief asked there as well, why does curing seem so magical? It seems as if smell appears as if from nowhere. It's because that chlorophyll is broken down. For a while, you're smelling chlorophyll, and that hasn't got too much of a pleasant smell. And you'll be smelling your weed as well. But it'll be overpowered by the chlorophyll. So when the chlorophyll is broken down as the plant dries, then it just gets better and better as there's less and less chlorophyll in it. It's important, man. Curing is very important. Don't ever underestimate it. But we have a whole episode on that, so go and check that shit out. It explains a lot. But what else do we have to? This is something I wanted to add. If it gets to the end and it is fucked and it does taste like shit, there's still things you can do with it. For example, visit Marge's podcast, Bite Me, the show about edibles, and she'll show you how to put it in things with sugar in and chocolate and all those nice things for
savory
everybody.
stuff too.
And savory stuff. That's right.
That's
Turn
right.
it into something totally delicious.
That's right.
Cannabis lasagna.
And get you stoned as crazy too.
Yeah, medicated hollandaise thing.
Damn right, man.
But this is a hobby
pizza
thing, man. It takes time and practice to get it right. So then there's plenty you can do.
Pizza with infused olive oil. Ooh.
That would be nice.
Yeah, so many good things you can do with it.
Yeah. So there you go. That's everything you need to know about flavor in these beginner stages. Of course, we can get more complex and go into more detail about it, but it's best to keep it simple. If you have any questions or anything you think that we can help you out with, then you know where to find us over at percysgrowroom.com. Ask a question over there. We're always happy to help. What are we saying? Is there anything else to add here? Just looking through chat. Things we're all good there, right? That's about it. Anything to add there, TG?
No, covers it probably.
Covers it enough.
I just do everything right, and you'll have good weed.
Pretty much. It becomes a habit after a while. Once you learn it, it's easy.
Takes practice.
It does take practice though, but once you get there, it becomes second nature.
And then it's all normal, man. And then you just got like loads of your own high quality, and it's very important to stress that as well. Your homegrown is going to be better than any of the shit you're going to go out there and buy.
Didn't used to believe that. And once upon a time, didn't believe that. But then we would come back from vacation, would go and eat, smoking dispensary weed, and then would open ours up and go like, damn, this is better than we were buying.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Much better.
The last time I went to Amsterdam, or maybe the time previous to that, it was like I got there and at home I had like ounces and ounces of Jack Herrer, and it was quality fucking seedsman Jack Herrer. It was the time I grew it that made me fall in love with that strain. And I was in Amsterdam like, I just want to go home and crack open my jar of Jack, man. You got any Jack? It's just shit.
I know what you mean, man.
And
it's
before
like going to Colorado and bringing your own homegrown with you. It's like, why am I going to do that?
It changes, man. Your whole perspective on cannabis changes when you grow your own, and you finally do get a good crop. You know, when you're like, this is far superior to anything I've smoked out on the streets.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a whole other side to that too. Is you're not getting the nice tops when you go and buy it off the street.
You know what I mean? You probably
The
haven't even
grower
seen a
keeps
top
them.
bud until you grow it yourself. Damn.
Yeah.
Depends on the street, but homegrown's always better because it's cheaper. Usually.
Yeah, it's a major factor as well. So you know what we like to say? Do it, man. But we don't want to encourage anybody at the same time. Wink face emoji.
Oh, fuck.
I'll say it. I'll encourage the fuck out of it. Off you
It's in
go.
your
Right.
nature to
Do
do
it.
after it. Overgrow, man. Do it.
I don't think I've ever met anybody who started growing cannabis and regretted it.
Yeah.
You know,
Just follow
Well,
the 3 rules. That's
there's-
the important part of it. If you don't follow the 3 rules, you might regret it.
That's it. The ones that don't follow the 3 rules probably do regret it. But
well, I
you
don't know. That guy reported in the fucking news he weren't following the rules and he's doing just fine.
Well, so far, you know, they got to
Mhm.
figure out, he's got to write an answer to the judge of why he should be let off or something, huh?
I
Crazy.
think they're probably more interested in where he got the 26 kilos than the fact he had it.
So yes, I think that's everything for the grow guides this week. We also have a few listener mail questions, but just a couple that we should get to. Let me scroll down here. We have one from Filmy Bowles, who is now banned from chat. You're not really, bro. I'm just taking the piss. You're not really banned.
He is
But
trolling,
carry on,
man.
mate.
That's always
Carry on.
trolling.
It's coming. The hammer's swinging. I'm warming it up, and he's charging. He's a modern hammer.
Oh, you're using the electronic hammer, huh?
Yeah, you're getting the electric one out, especially for you, Phil.
The old 18 volt.
So he said, I've heard that certain music, like Christmas music, can be beneficial to your plant growth. Just fucking with you, Mackie. Sorry, brother. That's what he said. It's too late. It's too late to apologize. It's
I'm
too
just gonna
late.
say
Good
right
song.
now
Good
that
song.
I don't think there was a question in there, really. Also, I don't think he has any reason to apologize, filling bowls. I appreciate the comment. So there you go. It's worth the experiment. I think everybody should be putting on some Christmas music right now to see
If you want to
makes
put some
difference.
Christmas
Lord.
music on and for your plants or for yourself, man, you go do that.
That's right. A
As
little
long as
Silent
I can't
Night,
hear it, I don't care.
a little
Yeah.
little drummer boy, you know.
A little
Yeah,
bit
see.
of rocking around the Christmas tree.
Okay,
I fucking love
now you're
sleigh
going
bells.
too far.
It's like my favorite.
That's what
shit.
we have to fucking listen to all the time, Marge. This is what we've got on.
Sleigh bells tingling, ring ding ding. That's it.
And I hate them songs that have got like absolutely nothing to do with Christmas, but at some point
Yeah.
throughout the song, they'll ring the sleigh bells in the background. And it's like, oh, now it's a Christmas song, everybody. Like,
Right.
fuck off.
It's all about the vibe, Mackie, the vibe.
It is about the vibe.
I've done the vibe nearly for 4 fucking decades, mate. I'm done with the vibe. I've had enough. God, fucking.
See, I do a mix of some dubstep Christmas and
Yeah,
some
yeah.
metal Christmas.
Actually,
metal covers.
there's
or
a-
dubstep covers.
Dubstep Christmas. I like that. I
A
gotta
few
look that
years
up.
ago, a friend of mine introduced me to hip hop Christmas. And
Oh,
it's
that's
just
pretty
like,
great.
yeah, I love
Yes.
it. That's my shit, man.
Yeah.
I'll listen to
Yeah.
that, but I'm not going
Yeah.
in fucking Tesco, and then I'm
No.
going to be playing, hip hop Christmas music over the speakers. That would be cool. I wouldn't mind that. Shit, but yes,
They can't do that. You know, people crumping in the middle of the lines in Tesco.
all twerking up and shit, knocking the chewing gums off the shelves. Like, what are you doing, man? Shit. Anyway, yes, thanks for the question there, Phil. We have one from I'm Sparky, which for some reason is also about Christmas. And this is one which we've covered a few times as well, I think. This is now that we are looking to the start of the holiday season. Well, it's 2 weeks left, mate. 2 weeks until we start talking about that shit. So, 2 weeks. Give these people air. Shit. Anyway, that's not what he asked. He says, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, we already
Yep.
went through this. No,
Yeah.
it was released in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, it's
it's
Christmas
middle of the summer in Australia.
No, it was released in July. Was it July? I believe it was released.
Yes, it was.
Perfect. Christmas
But
in July, man.
no, but the reason why they did that is because it's a Christmas movie and it'll be 6 months in theater and then it will go on to VHS, which people will buy for their families for Christmas.
All
So
I can
when
say
it's
is
Christmas
good
time,
theory,
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Mackie.
I'm saying
He's
It's-
just feeding you a line here, guys. That's all it is.
it has to be a Christmas movie because
No,
it's
no,
got
no. It was
snow in
released
it.
in
It's
July,
got
it
Christmas
can't be.
Christmas presents in it, and it's a Christmas party at work when this shit kicks off, man. It has to be a Christmas movie.
Just because there's a Christmas
it's a
party in it,
Christmas
there has to
movie.
be a Christmas movie.
Yeah, for sure,
Yes.
man.
No, not true. Definitely not true.
Savon
Unless-
said, "You still have VHS in the UK. We've had to go back to it, Savons, because we're back to the 70s now, mate. Here in the UK, maybe early 80s. Yeah,
They're trying to find something that they can use to play the movies on that's hand cranked. They don't have to
that's
pay
right.
the electricity
That's right,
now.
man. We can't afford plastic discs anymore."
No, they're trying to get the kids out there to crank the handle while they watch the movie, like they used to have to
Yeah.
do. That's it.
Lethal Weapon 1 is a Christmas movie then.
Yep.
Maybe so, bro. I would say so. I would say so. When the lady, like, can you say stuff like that on YouTube nowadays? Probably not. But, you know, that first scene, was that Lethal Weapon 3? No, it's definitely Lethal Weapon 1. You know, when she hits the ground very hard? No, but the car, smashes out for the car? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that was 3 or 1. Can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen Lethal Weapon, but yeah, fuck it. It's a Christmas movie. Who cares, man? You know what I'm saying?
I think it might have been 2 that you're talking about.
I don't know.
Not sure.
Back to the Future said, "I'm getting too old for this shit." It's like, bro, this is, you don't visit the streams very often. Yes, that's the one. That's the one, Rusty. It was number 1. Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, good TV though. But what does make a Christmas movie? That should be your homework this week, everybody, to go out and
Jeez, that would be.
decide.
We have to have a definitive list, a checklist to find out whether or not it's
Mhm.
Christmas or not.
like a top 10 of what it needs to be a Christmas movie, and it needs at least 6 on those lists for it to be a Christmas movie.
Oh.
And
There we
I
go.
think if we
So
did
number
that,
1, released in December.
yeah, but
or
that's
November.
one you've got, Monkey, and then the other 9 are ours.
What
You know what I mean? Does it
what-
have snow in? Yes.
what
Does it have a
no,
Christmas tree in?
Die Hard.
Yes.
No, there was no snow in Die Hard. It took place in LA.
Oh
We flew
yeah,
out
shit.
to LA.
Shit, I'm thinking of
There
Die Hard
was no snow.
2 when they're
So
on the.
2. I
on
got
the-
2 of them.
Shit. I'm just gonna shut up.
That's right. You're giving me everything here, man. I got release date and no snow.
Plead the 5th. They have the right to remain silent.
There you go. I'll never give up on that. Just like I'll never give up finding that bat weed. It's out there somewhere.
So let us know in the
Forever
comments
searching.
below, everybody. What do you think? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And if not, why? And if so, why? Let us know in the comments. And there we go, everybody. That was this week's Grow Guides. If you have any questions about ways to make your cannabis tastier, then of course you can head over to percysgrowroom.com, drop a post in the forum, and we're always happy to help you guys out. Of course, it would be great to see you over on YouTube on Sunday for the live show, so you can be involved in the prize draw where you can win $50 voucher or a $75 voucher over at phenoseeds.com. So make sure you're over there for the live show to check that shit out if you want to try and win some prizes. Again, we have the Patreon session tonight, which starts 9 o'clock GMT, usual showtime. So if you are free and you are a Patreon, then make sure you're there to come and chat some shit with us. We just get high and talk about whatever. So make sure you're there if you can. But that's it for now. That was the Grow Guides. We'll catch you on Monday for the cannabis news, and of course Wednesday for the interview, Friday for the Grow Guides. Same schedule next week. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay safe, stay high, and we'll see you on Sunday or Monday, whichever. Or tonight at the Patreon session, whichever. Anytime it will be good to see you. So thanks for downloading, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.